Mark opens his bank app on a random Tuesday night. Nothing dramatic happened today. No emergencies, no big splurges. He spent $18 on lunch, $42 filling up his car, $9 on coffee he barely enjoyed, $67 on groceries that somehow still won't last the week. Mark earns $4,800 a month after tax. After rent, insurance, phone bill, internet, subscriptions, and minimum payments, he has about $1,126 left for everything else. Right now, his balance shows $312. There are 11 days left in the month. He doesn't panic. He doesn't freak out. He just stares. Because this number feels familiar. He's 33 years old. He's working full-time. He's earning more than he ever did in his 20s. So why does it feel like the math never works? Why does money still feel tight even when life looks stable from the outside? If you've ever opened your bank app and felt that quiet mix of confusion, guilt, and exhaustion, not fear, just a heavy sense of, I should be further than this, then stay with me. Because for a lot of people, their 30s aren't when money falls apart. It's when they realize their old financial system doesn't fit their life anymore. Hi, I'm Eric. And I've spent an uncomfortable amount of time in my 30s trying to understand why money can feel so heavy, even when you're doing everything you were told was right. If you're at a stage where life looks fine from the outside, but inside, you feel like your finances need a quiet reset, not a dramatic restart, just clarity, you're in the right place. If this sounds like you, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Because here, we talk about money the way it actually feels in real life. And I'll walk you through how a financial reset in your 30s actually works, without panic, pressure, or pretending everything's fine. Now, let's go back to Mark. Mark isn't irresponsible. He doesn't gamble. He doesn't waste money on crazy things. In his 20s, Mark struggled, but it made sense. Low pay, cheap living, ramen dinners, roommates. Everyone around him was broke too. But now, in his 30s, something feels different. The stress is quieter, but heavier. In your 20s, money problems feel temporary. In your 30s, they feel permanent. And that's where most people misunderstand what's happening. They think the problem is income. They think one more raise will fix it, one better job, one smarter investment, one big break. But most of the time, that's not the real issue. What actually changes in your 30s is not how much you earn, but how much life costs emotionally and structurally. Rent is higher. Health insurance is no longer optional. Food costs more than you remember. Your tolerance for chaos is lower. And suddenly, every financial decision feels heavier because it's connected to your future self. Mark feels this pressure constantly. He tells himself he should be saving more. He should be investing by now. He should feel more secure. Instead, he feels like he's always one unexpected expense away from stress. This is where psychology quietly takes over. When money feels tight for long periods, your brain stops thinking long-term. It goes into protection mode. You don't plan, you react. You don't optimize, you cope. Mark doesn't overspend because he's careless. He overspends because he's tired. Tired of delaying life. Tired of saying no. Tired of feeling like stability is always just one step ahead. And this is important to understand. According to data from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, the average cost of living for adults in their 30s has increased faster than wages over the last decade, especially in housing, healthcare, and food. That means even disciplined people feel squeezed. At the same time, reports from the Federal Reserve show that nearly 40% of Americans would struggle to cover a $400 emergency without borrowing. These are not reckless people. These are normal people living inside a more expensive system. Mark doesn't know these numbers. He just feels the result of them. Every month, his paycheck comes in, and almost immediately, it's spoken for. Rent takes the biggest bite. Utilities follow. Insurance, subscriptions, gas, food. By the time Mark thinks about saving, the money is already gone. Not wasted, allocated. And that's the quiet truth most people don't see. In your 30s, money stops being flexible. It becomes pre-committed. This is why so many people feel stuck. Not because they're bad with money, but because their financial structure was never updated for adult life. Mark built his money habits in his 20s when instability was normal. But now, life expects a different system. And here's the moment that changes everything for him. One night, after checking his bank app again, Mark realizes something uncomfortable. He doesn't trust his own finances. Not because he's irresponsible, but because everything feels fragile. If his car breaks down, it's a problem. If rent goes up, it's a problem. If work slows down, it's a problem. That constant low-level fear is exhausting. This is when Mark stops asking, "How do I make more money?" and starts asking, "How do I feel safer?" That question is the real beginning of a financial reset. Because money is not just math, it's emotional safety. Your nervous system doesn't care about your salary. It cares about margin. How much room do you have before stress hits? Mark starts looking at his numbers differently, not with shame, not with judgment, just honesty. He calculates how much of his income is fixed, meaning unavoidable. Rent, insurance, utilities, minimum payments. The number surprises him. Over 65% of his income is already locked in before the month even starts. No wonder he feels trapped. According to housing data from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, housing costs alone consume over 1/3 of income for many renters in their 30s. When that much money is fixed, even small expenses feel big. Mark realizes something important. He's not bad at budgeting. He's living without a buffer. A buffer is what turns emergencies into inconveniences. Without it, every unexpected cost feels personal. So Mark doesn't do anything dramatic. He doesn't quit his job. He doesn't move to the middle of nowhere. He doesn't chase risky investments. He does something much quieter. He builds breathing room. He starts with one goal, 1 month of expenses saved. Not freedom, not wealth, just space. It takes time. It's slow. It's not exciting. But something interesting happens. As that buffer grows, Mark's anxiety shrinks. He stops checking his bank app obsessively. He sleeps better. He makes calmer decisions. This is when his mindset shifts. Success stops being about how much he earns. It becomes about how stable he feels. There's a line from William James in The Principles of Psychology, Chapter 10, that fits perfectly here. The greatest weapon against stress is our ability to choose one thought over another. Mark chooses a new thought. I don't need to win money right now. I need to stop losing peace. That single shift changes how he spends, saves, and works. He simplifies his life. Fewer subscriptions, fewer impulse upgrades, less pressure to keep up. Not because he's punishing himself, but because he wants calm more than appearances. He learns something most people don't realize until much later. Money problems don't disappear when income rises. They disappear when expectations match reality. Mark also stops comparing his timeline to others. He realizes everyone is carrying invisible financial weight. Student loans, family obligations, medical costs, career detours. There is no universal schedule. Another line comes to mind, this one from Ralph Waldo Emerson in Self-Reliance, Chapter 3. The reward of a thing well done is to have done it. Mark stops trying to look successful. He starts trying to feel okay. And that's when real progress begins. His finances don't become perfect, but they become predictable. Predictability creates peace. According to long-term data from the Social Security Administration, people who consistently save modest amounts over time often do better than those who chase aggressive strategies and burn out. Calm beats clever. By the end of Mark's 30s, Mark isn't rich, but he's grounded. He's no longer living in reaction mode. He's no longer afraid of small surprises. He's no longer waiting for life to start. This is what a financial reset in your 30s actually looks like. Not a restart, a realignment. It's realizing that your old system got you here, but it won't get you where you want to go. It's understanding that stability is not boring. It's powerful. So if you're in your 30s and money feels heavier than it should, hear this. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're responding to a more complex life. Progress now looks slower, quieter, and more intentional. And that's not failure, that's maturity. You don't need perfection to move forward. You don't need massive changes overnight. You just need honesty, patience, and a system that supports your nervous system, not fights it. Because money should help you sleep, not steal your peace. And a financial reset isn't an admission of defeat. It's a sign you're finally paying attention. If this video made you feel a little calmer, a little more understood, then you're exactly where you need to be. Progress beats perfection every time.